live the life beyond the boundaries we set on ourselves, to live and to run boundless, to be inspired, to achieve, to overcome the mountaintop in our life. Embrace the journey, become boundless.
Hello, family. Welcome to another episode of the Live Run Boundless Show. Happy belated New Year 2022. I'm your host, Kenneth Pinkney, and today my guest co-host is a friend, my spiritual sister, also a runner herself, but had not run with me yet, or not run with her yet. But it's all good. Eventually we'll get there. So family, let's welcome Miss Stephanie Peacock in the house. uh, yeah, so today guest is a young woman who happened to come across on Instagram around like July 2020, and I believe. I was trying to get her to live on Boundless like for a while, but I guess she's been busy like running, her marathons, being on ESPN and all that stuff. Busy sitting, breaking records, and chase her dreams. Um, Her journey of life and running is what movie are made out of. She is the youngest woman to 100 marathons and still counting. After today, by 110. The youngest Latina um, to 100 marathons, if I'm not mistaken. All that before she turned the age of 25 years of age. She not only first in running, but she's first in her family to attend college. Before all the first in her life, she had obstacles to overcome, from being born with a broken spine, neck, and feet, to being a DACA recipient slash dreamer. Despite that, and like what she said, keep on chasing your dream because one day it could be taken away. And she definitely had done just that, chase her dream and make it to reality. So live from boundless family. Let's welcome the warrior, the dreamer, Miss Jocelyn Rivas.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Such a great intro. I think that's the best intro I ever had. Oh man.
you know, it's all about the intro, all about the intro. But it's all true. Also, it's all true. So yeah, so definitely I did my research. Yeah, so yeah, definitely. I got emotional. Just hearing about your story. So yeah, definitely. You know, but before we get to the running journey, I like to tell about the journey, the process of getting to where a person at. So tell the family a little bit of your life growing up, coming from El Salvador to the U.S., and just have the obstacle we had to overcome in life a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So I was born in Salvador. Growing up, all I knew was El Salvador. I basically lived with my grandma and my grandpa, my sisters, my cousins. As a Latino family, you live with your uncles, on like it's a
Mhm.
whole one house,
Yeah,
and we're all living together.
yeah,
And we were very poor. We weren't like we didn't have the you could say, oh, we could afford several things. Instead, we were just, normal kids going to school and then walking back to school. Yeah, I mean, growing up, I definitely remember a lot of El Salvador,
yeah,
certain
yeah,
things about it.
yeah,
But, I definitely spent a lot of time in the hospital going in and out
yeah,
since I was born with the broken back, neck, and feet. At that time, I'm a kid and I really don't understand why I keep going.
yeah,
I just, I really didn't know. And I think it was just until like later on, until I was like 8 years old when I came to the US, my mom finally decides to tell me,
mm,
hey, this happened to you. Because I kept complaining about all my back pain, neck pain. And I was just like, every morning I wake up, it's like
yeah,
instant. And by the end of the day, it like gets even worse. And
yeah,
so it didn't make sense to me. And at the end, she told me, oh, yeah, you were born with the broken back, neck, and feet. And I was like, wow, it would have been good to know this before. At least I wouldn't been like complaining as much.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so I think she was just scared to tell me because she just didn't want to, I guess, change my perspective on things. And I
yeah,
was just like,
yeah,
no, it's just it kind of like completes the circle. Okay, now I understand. Now I know how to live like this. But yeah, that was just it, like the beginning of it.
Yeah. So you kind of like had to adapt and adjust to. So growing up, what you felt pain, like your back and neck, someone when you know someone wasn't right.
Well, I kind of started noticing until later on. I think I started noticing later on because I got more of a sense of what pain was. As a kid, it's kind of like,
Okay.
oh, like you're just having fun outside. You really
Okay.
don't focus on it. Yeah,
Okay.
something. I guess it was just I thought it was something normal. You know,
It's
I
on
thought it was,
normal.
yeah, because I have had it all my life, so I thought
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
something normal. And but
Okay.
then as I got older, you're still growing, you're still developing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's when, like, I was 8 years old to 7. That's when it started hurting a bit more, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it was kind of like more noticeable by then.
Okay then. So once you found out, like I said, was no, but you guys can learn how to deal with it, how to handle the pain with time, I guess, once y'all found out. Yeah.
Well, when my mom gave birth, she said that the doctors told her, "Hey,
Yeah, yeah,
there's most likely a chance that
yeah,
she is not going to be able to walk, and if she does walk by any chance, that means she's not even going to be able to like walk normal. She's not
no,
going to be like a normal kid." And
no,
so my mom was kind of like, she wasn't expecting that.
mm,
She really wasn't. So then
mm,
the only solution by then was for her to take me to physical therapy every week,
yeah,
and she would have to like get on a bus and spend like
mm,
an hour
mm,
to, I think, to an hour and a half to
mm,
get there and then to come back.
mm.
um and she was a single mom, so she had to do all of
Yeah,
that herself.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you know at the end, I really don't remember none of that. I really don't. I was a kid, I was a
yeah,
baby.
yeah.
I have no idea what was going
There,
on.
there you go. Yeah,
I mean, she tells me how it went down, and so
yeah.
that's how I found out.
Wow. Man. Yeah, definitely. But look at you now. Like wow, the overcoming that. So yeah. So that got to be one of your biggest challenge. Well, what are some other challenge you had to face beginning your journey to run it 100 marathon? If I saying that
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other challenges I face, obviously running my first marathon was a big thing. Once
Yeah.
I got the first one down, I was just like, oh man, it opens so many opportunities.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
also kind of opened up my mind in that sense of saying anything is possible, because I was always like that limited person that my mom said I couldn't do certain things for
Yeah.
my medical history. But once I ran that first marathon, it kind of opened up my mind. And
Yeah.
even though I might have had an obstacle, which I had many during my 100, too
Yeah.
many of anything, the pandemic being the biggest one of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But luckily, I think I always had that in mind, like anything is possible. It just matters how bad do you want it. Like, what are you willing to give up to
Yeah.
get there? Like, it's gonna become, the closer you get, the harder it becomes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
many
Yeah.
people think it was the opposite. Oh, the closer you got, the easier it got.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was like the opposite. It got harder. I had
Yeah.
the obstacle of, still, like, I was still in college when I was beginning this journey, so
Yeah.
financially I couldn't afford that many marathons in a year, so I
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other aspects is also, I was very, you could say I was still very fortunate. I live in California, which is the
Yeah.
state that offers the most marathons out of any other state. So I was lucky. I was using a lot of
Yeah.
public transportation, but at the same time I was traveling by myself.
Yeah.
So it requires a lot of, protecting yourself as a woman
Yeah.
who's traveling
Wow.
solo.
Yeah.
And yeah, the pandemic happened, which, things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marathons got canceled. And then
Yeah.
another obstacle is injuries, like a
Yeah.
natural human being, you get
Yeah.
injuries
Yeah.
that you have to listen to sometimes.
Yeah. That's definitely, I mean, crazy, we had to gonna go to, and sacrifice, So for death, Stephanie, intervene. But what's the biggest sacrifice you have to make, to complete 100 marathons?
The biggest sacrifice. Wow. I think oh man, that's a good question. I think a big sacrifice. Oh wow, that's a good one. I think is pushing my bodies to like its limit sometimes, because sometimes I had, to do a lot of back-to-back marathons. So
Yeah.
I did 6 marathons in 9 days, sometimes triple marathon, 3 marathons in 3 days. And so I constantly had to do that. And so it was like really pushing your bodies to like the moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Can I even do this? Like you started doubting yourself. So, but so definitely that was like the biggest challenge,
Okay.
pushing my body to its limits sometimes. Obviously, there's no limits, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, at some point you're like, oh my
Yeah,
God, this is a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah. I
right.
know, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, and I was wondering, I mean, that's a long journey, to from your very first one, was it age 17 or something like that? Or what, how old were you when you did your first one? Was it 17?
Yeah, I
Which
was
is
17.
amazing. I think for the doctor to say you might not be normal, which is nobody wants to be normal. You ended up being extraordinary, what I mean, instead of normal. So that's amazing.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
think from the beginning, starting from the beginning and to your 100 marathons, what's been some of the biggest changes in yourself from the beginning until the last one?
I think the biggest thing here that happened, or like the big changes that happened in me, where I became a lot more confident as a person. That
Mm,
was one of the things that I was always that. Even when I ran my first marathon, I was always that shy girl who did like was very shy. I was into school. I had no idea what sports was. I was just like very like quiet. I wouldn't say many stuff, and now I'm that person who's like always outspoken. If someone has a question, I speak up for them because
yeah,
I'm like, I know what it is to just stay quiet and not ask. And then now I'm like that outspoken person who's just confident in, what she says and what she
yeah,
does. And I think another thing is just like, not just confidence, but like I felt a lot more empowered,
yeah,
which is, I think, you see as you're running more marathons, you get
yeah, yeah,
exposed to the
yeah.
community and
Yes,
you kind of get inspired by others and you see,
yes,
wow, like how strong are women. Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
get inspired by everyone who's running and you're like, that's just amazing how, women reach so many goals and you're like,
yeah,
oh, I feel so empowered to like, even become that or do that.
Yeah.
So it was definitely one of the biggest things, just, getting my confidence and also feeling a lot of empower.
yeah,
And the other thing would be getting a stronger mindset, that
Mm.
yeah,
even if, because before when I had ran my first marathon, I was that person like, oh, it's hurting. I'm a stop. I'm a walk. And then now it's like, no, you got to keep going.
mm,
You're supposed to feel pain. The marathon training is just so you could tolerate the pain.
mm,
It doesn't mean like it's not gonna hurt. So definitely it's just, I was able to like push myself further than
mm,
I thought I could.
That's great.
yeah,
Yeah, that's some really powerful stuff. And I know you mentioned your kind of like your experience with your first marathon. And so what's some advice that you would give to people who are considering doing their first marathon, but it can be really intimidating. So what's some advice you would give to them?
I think the first thing here is truly believing in yourself. I know this is taken so lightly. You're like, oh, just believe in yourself and you get there. But honestly, if you believe you can, like you will get there. And I think like that was the thing that helped me the most when I was running my first marathon. No one
Mm,
told me. Many people are like, oh, you're not gonna do it or you can't do it. I got so many no's. And I was just like, I believe I could do this.
mm,
And that's literally what took me to the finish line of the first marathon. So I think it's like, let go of what people's expectations have, like what they have of you. Let
mm.
that go completely. And you do you. And at the end, it's all going to work out.
I
And I
love that.
think, yeah. And I think another thing is
yeah.
obviously, having a coach helps, so
Yes,
then
Mm,
when you're doing it, you also get to enjoy it. Because if you do it like only for us, like let's say if you're training and maybe you're just following like an online schedule,
yeah,
it might be good, but if you have a coach, it helps you because at least you'll be able to enjoy it more. The
mm.
marathon itself, the experience, the training,
Wow.
because you're doing it the right way too.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
great.
another like tip.
Yeah, that's great advice. I appreciate that. I also understand that you're a vegan.
Yeah.
Now, how is that transition to being a vegan with your training and your races? And then what are some of your favorite pre-race meals?
Yeah, so I kind of went vegan like halfway through the journey. It was
oh,
marathon 42. So I had already ran
Yeah,
42
yeah,
marathons,
yeah,
and I realized I had to run a
yeah,
lot of back-to-backs,
yeah,
and
yeah,
my body, it was taking a long time to recover. So it
yeah,
was going from, instead of like being able to run the next day or the next 2 days, I had to wait 4 days to recover,
Wow.
and then I could run like again. And I was like, this is taking too long. So I did my research,
yeah,
and I found out about like a plant-based diet. So I
yeah,
tried it,
yeah,
and honestly, in the beginning, I was like, okay, this is good. It worked.
yeah,
It helped me. Like it, I got a PR. I
yeah.
got faster. I got
Wow.
stronger.
Wow.
But I miss the meats, and then, and so I went back to regular food, and then obviously at that point I was only going for the record for the youngest Latina to run 100 marathons. I
Yeah,
only knew about the record, but then I found out about the record for the youngest woman to
yeah,
run
yeah,
100
yeah, yeah,
marathons.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so that required me to run a lot more marathons in a year. And so I was like, I'm gonna have to sacrifice this, and I'm gonna go vegan until I reach 100. But as you continue doing something, it just becomes part of you.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And so that's what happened with me being vegan. Like I thought, oh, I'm just gonna do it to 100,
yeah.
and then now it's like I'm done with the 100. I'm still vegan.
Wow,
And
wow.
That's great.
so,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So I think my favorite meal. I mean, coming back to your question, my favorite meals, like pre-meals. Um, I guess, like are you referring to like breakfast or like dinner or?
Like a pre-race meal, maybe. Like what would you eat before a meal? I mean, before a race, either the night before or the morning?
Yeah, I think the night before I would eat the typical. I love my pasta.
Got
I love
it.
my pastas and I love my potatoes. I think that's one of the things. And then for breakfast, I actually eat avocado toast. I try a lot of different breakfasts like peanut butter sandwich, cereals, oatmeal,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
smoothies, like protein shakes. Nothing worked. I just kept getting hungry. Like I was burning in mile three. I was already hungry.
Wow.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and the only one that kept me calm was the avocado toast. So
Avocado
definitely,
toast.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah, I
okay,
recommend it.
Good to
okay.
know. Now we know your secret.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my.
It's avocado toast.
With
Avocado
some
toast.
salt.
With a
Add
Some
some
salt.
salt.
salt. Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right.
Good to know. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Avocado got that good fat, I believe, also. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's good. I don't know. I think I love avocados, by the way. So I eat an
Yeah.
avocado every single day. I'm
Oh,
so
man.
like obsessed with them. So
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
that's what made it easier.
Okay, there you go. Also, they're pretty cool. So you're not going back to meet anytime soon, huh?
Yeah, I think now it's more like it's just it
Oh
became a
yeah, yeah.
bit part of who I am. And I
Okay,
think at the same
yeah,
time it's just
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think I saw the benefits of it. So
Yes,
I'm
the
like, you
benefit.
know
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
Yeah. So I think that's it, like
yeah.
I saw the benefits and I'm like, you know what? It's also helping the planet, it's helping the environment.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't mind. I found some vegan shrimp too.
Huh?
So that's what helped the most, to convince me to stay vegan, finding the
That's
vegan
great.
So
shrimp.
vegan shrimp. Okay, that's
Yeah.
the first time I hear about that. Okay, then.
I recommend it.
Okay, I got it. Where you go to find vegan shrimp at anyway? You know.
I find it. I go shopping at Bestie's Vegan One. It's a shop like here.
Yeah,
No, Bestie's Vegan Paradise is a shop here in LA
okay.
by Hollywood,
Yeah, yeah,
and I mean it is a bit far from me. I think it's like 12 miles away,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm like, you know what? It's worth it.
It's
It's
worth it.
definitely worth
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. The sacrifice you got to make, to reach your goal.
Oh my, that's a good way to put it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. The sacrifice you got to make to reach your goal. There we go. Oh, that's cool. Yes. Go back to like reading your story, in the interview you done, and you mentioned about, talk about Las Vegas Marathon, and the pain, and reaching and to pain to order to reach your goal. You mentioned, I'm quoting you, a moment of pain worth a lifetime of glory. And when I hear you say that, like, how powerful. Just a moment of pain with a lifetime of glory. So take us through that journey of overcoming, put you through during that Las Vegas Marathon. you know.
Yeah. So the LA Marathon featured my story. I think that's the reason why that marathon
Yeah,
got so much attention,
yeah,
because they interviewed me about my injuries, and
yeah,
I mentioned how I was injured. I had gotten chin splints. I
yeah,
had like a knee issue. I also had an IT band. The thing is that it kind of spread. Like basically my whole right leg was like kind of messed up, really
hey,
messed up. And so I started using CEP compression,
yeah,
getting new pairs of shoes,
yeah,
massaging, icing, everything you could think of, I was doing, and it wasn't getting better. Sometimes I would wake up in the morning and I was going to work, working at Santa Monica,
yeah,
and I was just going my way, just walking few steps, and I literally, it would hurt just to walk, not even to run, just to walk. So you can imagine if I was to run, how worse the pain could be. But
yeah,
I think here the goal again was like to get to 100, and I know it wasn't the smartest thing, and I don't recommend anyone to do this, to run with it. But
yeah,
I think I was just like, so like, you need to just keep pushing, keep
yeah,
moving
yeah,
forward,
yeah,
keep
yeah,
showing up. Doesn't matter how long it takes for you to finish this marathon.
yeah,
The only bad thing about this marathon is that it has a 5 hour time limit.
mm,
So it's like my averages finish times are around like 4 hours to five,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and five was normally like my slowest times around there.
yeah, yeah,
But if you're injured, you're gonna be way slower.
yeah, yeah,
And I was just like, and even 5 hours is not that slow. 5 hours is like the average time for a marathon runner.
Right.
yeah,
And so it's kind of like they really are just fast and average runners doing their Las Vegas marathon. And at that point, I was just like, I was even contemplating, should I even go to the race? Should I even show
yeah,
up? And I
yeah,
was just like, you know what? Just show up, give it
okay,
what you got.
yeah,
You
yeah,
try, you give it all you got,
yeah,
and see
yeah,
how it goes. And I remember at that moment the quote was, a moment of pain is
yeah,
worth a lifetime of glory. So that moment of pain that I'm gonna go through for 5 hours is gonna be harsh. It's gonna
yeah,
be so painful,
yeah,
and it might break me saying like,
yeah,
oh, I'm not enjoying this. Like,
yeah,
what am I doing? But you just gotta keep pushing
mm,
and keep doing it, and at the end you're gonna have your glory of completing the 100 marathon. So this whole thing of just keep pushing on, it's just a moment of pain. It's temporarily. I always said that
yeah,
it's temporarily. Like once you're done with your run, you're like, oh, I'm done, I
yeah,
did
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
feel good. And so yeah, that's what essentially helped me get through that marathon with that quote. That marathon quote actually came through
Oh, okay.
Louis Samperini. I didn't make it up.
Ah,
So Louis
oh,
Samperini, yeah, it's actually a local hero here in
okay.
California, Torrance, California. He was an
Okay.
Olympian runner,
Okay.
and he also survived like in the ocean for like
Oh,
I think
wow.
50 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I gotta
Wow.
reach out. Now I gotta reach out to him then.
Oh, well, oh, he's gone already. Yeah, he's
Oh.
gone. But I read his book. I recommend his book. His book is
Okay.
called Unbroken. Imagine
Unbroken.
Unbroken. Yeah.
Oh. Ooh. That sounds good. I mean, you say all of that. It's like your family. You have to remember you only like 25 years old. Like you saying and all of that. And he's like it's amazing, you know. And you're willing to put yourself, through that, all to achieve your goal. And that's
Yeah, I think many people ask me like, why would you make yourself go through that? And I was just like, I guess my purpose was stronger than what was going through my
yeah,
body or
yeah,
what I was going through,
yeah, yeah.
like knowing your why. I
Oh, the
wasn't
what?
just doing, yeah, I wasn't just running for myself, I was
Yeah,
running for like
why?
women and for girls in sports.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think I just really wanted to inspire my community to see
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you could do this too.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, as long as you got your why, and like I say I say that all the time, your why will keep you going, you know,
Yep.
your why will keep you going, you know. So what was going through your mind as you came upon your last mile in the record breaking 100 marathon? What was going through your mind? We were thinking about you about to finish, about to cross that finish line. Yeah,
Oh man, that's a good memory. It's so funny because I was running with a group of friends, like a few of them jump in as my pacers, as official pacers.
yeah, yeah,
And some of them were running the marathon with me from the start.
Yeah.
And it was just like everyone's like, Jocelyn, it's mile 25. And literally everyone's like, Jocelyn, like as soon as
Yeah,
like
yeah,
everyone has their
yeah,
watch,
yeah,
Jocelyn, and we saw
yeah,
the sign mile 25,
yeah,
Jocelyn, mile 25, 1 mile away from you reaching 100 marathons. And I was just like,
Ooh.
I was just like, no, like no way. And I had my friend Ricky, and he was just like, 1 mile, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
it's such a like short distance, for a distance
yeah,
runner,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I was just like 1 mile, and I still was like kind of like in disbelief,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I was just like, I'm gonna just enjoy this mile,
Yes.
and then out of nowhere, I rarely get cramps. Rarely. I don't know where I get like a cramp, like right before, like going up a hill, like
Yeah,
because it was
yeah,
very like hilly towards
yeah.
the end. I get kind of like a cramp. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to finish like this. And so I try to massage it a bit, and I was like, get it together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I kind of like hit like the muscle a bit, which
mm,
is what I do sometimes when like I cramp
yeah,
up.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
hit the muscle, so then it kind of like go away, and I massage it quickly. And I stopped for like I think like a minute just to be like, okay, let it relax. Maybe it's just too stressed.
Mm,
Maybe it's getting, all the emotions and everything.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
yeah,
like getting into me. And at the end it calmed down, and
yeah.
I
That's
decided to slow down. I think it was also I was speeding up a bit more.
Mhm.
It was the last mile, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I saw so many friends cheering.
That's
I
awesome.
saw so many faces, familiar faces, and the marathon this year had a new finish line. It finished
Okay,
at Century City, so it was a
okay.
new finish line,
Yeah.
and I just knew that I just had to turn right, and as soon as I turned right,
Mm,
I would see the finish line. So as soon as I saw like, oh, I was gonna make a turn, oh, someone came out from like the LA Marathon, which was,
yeah, yeah,
one of the coaches. He said, okay, you need to stay on the left.
yeah,
Everyone's waiting for you on the left.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I was just like, who's everyone,
yeah, yeah.
I had no idea. And then literally as I'm running, I see the finish line. And I even like put my hands together, like I cannot believe it. This is the finish line. I've been waiting
Yeah, yeah.
for 4 years. This is the
4
finish
years.
line.
Wow.
Yeah, this is what I've been waiting for, like you could say entirely my whole life, because I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
this is the biggest goal of my life. And I saw it, and I was just like, I think at that moment I only had point two left, like
Yeah,
26.2. I
Yeah.
only had a point two left, and I think at that moment everything flashed into me, like everything, like
wow.
literally it's crazy because I
Wow.
have never had that, like every sacrifice I went through,
Yeah,
like it just went through my mind, like all the times I cry, all the times I
yeah,
suffer,
yeah,
all
yeah,
the times I doubted myself.
yeah,
And I was like, oh my God, I
yeah,
did
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I'm here.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I crossed the finish line. It was like the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful. Yeah,
That's so amazing. I love that. Love the way that you explain it. And,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, that's just, for everything just to come back to
yeah,
you, of
yeah.
all the sacrifice. And I just want to point out, not many people consider a moment of pain to be 5 hours of pain. So usually a moment is a moment. But that's how powerful and strong your mind is.
Yeah, yeah,
Like this
yeah.
5 hours is just a moment.
Good point.
But but
You're the
hey,
first person who says that. Oh my, that is so
uh,
true.
I mean, but like you said, it's what we tell our minds, and our
Yeah,
body does what our mind does. So I appreciate that and just the strength
yeah,
of it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I heard you say one time just about how strong the woman's body is, and that was really impactful to me. So, what does it mean to you to be such an inspiration, especially at such a younger age? For myself, even just to have you and see, everything that you've been able to accomplish, but just to be such an inspiration not only to women all over, but specifically for the Latino community.
I think the biggest thing here is that I didn't expect that, I just felt like the whole time through my 100, I always felt like an average runner, I always said that every time, like I'm just an average runner. I'm not the person who wins races, I'm not that person who like goes ahead and, is the first part that comes out, in the race. I'm not part of the first finishers. I'm just that average runner who's running and really loves the sport. And I think I really wanted to go ahead and literally people who were beginning, who were not advanced runners, because I mean, I identify as not an advanced runner,
Mhm.
even though I ran 100 marathons, I don't identify as, an advanced runner. I'm like, no, I'm just like everyone else running out there. And, some of us run for times, but for me, I run for like enjoyment of this sport. I really love running.
Yeah,
I love what it does to the body, how it makes you feel,
yeah.
confident, strong, alive. And I
Yes.
think I wanted to inspire others to feel that same way. I was like, if I can inspire one individual to maybe run a marathon and maybe feel, because even though we might not feel the same thing when we cross that finish line,
Mhm.
we know it took a lot of work to get there.
Yeah.
And if they're able to see that for themselves, I'm sure that's going to open up their mind, and they're going to be like, wow, if I could do this, I could do anything.
Mm.
Or at least it's gonna open up, something in their mind to say, oh wow, like this is just the beginning, or I could do much more. And so I think that was the thing. I wanted to inspire my community to see that
Yeah.
they could be more, they could do more, that there's no limits to what they can be, no matter, where they come from, where they're at the moment, they could become anything at any point.
Yeah, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
as someone who is very similar in time in running marathons and double your age, you certainly really inspire me. So I appreciate that. And
Oh,
I think you're doing exactly what you set out to do. It's just a great inspiration. So I appreciate that. And I've also seen where you've stated that there's a yes in everything in life, which I love. That's a great quote. And so I just wondered if you can explain what you
Yeah.
mean by this and how has this affected your life and running?
yeah, I think I always say that there's a yes in everything.
Right.
And the reason why is because I'm like, you know, many people have this in mind that certain things are impossible. And
Yes.
I'm like, no, there's nothing that's impossible. Nothing. Everything is possible. And so I always say, like, there's a yes in everything. So if you think you can't do it, that's just because, maybe you might not think that, but you can. I just have this whole mentality. I think I developed it over through the years of just running, where I'm just like, nothing is impossible. And so instead of saying nothing is impossible, I'm like, there's a yes in everything. Anything you want to become the president, yes, you can do it. You want to become the leader or something, yes, you can do it. Is it going to be hard to get there? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it might seem impossible, but you'll get there if you really want it. And so that's the reason why I always say there's a yes in everything. You want to break your PR, you want to become faster, yes, you can do it. You could do everything or anything you want. And so I think it's also the building that kind of like positive mindset that
Yeah.
helps you out when you're like in those dark moments in
Ah,
life
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So when you're like not in the best moment in your life, and you're like, oh man, like I'm going through something tough in life, and am I even going to be able to get out of here? And you're like, yes, I will be able to get out of here. It might be tough right now, but at the end, you're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's wow. That's wise beyond years. Man, wow. That's
Oh my. I mean, I'm just like, I think it's just like, I don't know.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
many people are always like, how is it that you have like this mindset? I think,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like, again, I think
yeah,
I had to go to like a lot of tough times,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
to get to this point.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. 100 marathons will get you that wisdom. That's a lot
Yeah,
of mental strength,
yeah, yeah,
So,
Oh man.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh well, Stephanie, that was a good one.
Yeah. Oh man, oh, that was good. That was yeah. That it was it's awesome.
Yeah.
As we approach the end, we had to go back to we talk about you just a runner like everybody else, and but you kind of had me thinking. I was reading this. It's a poet. It's a poem. I guess a poem. Wait, the poem I just read today. Celebrate Martin Luther King Day. So I saw it was he put it out yesterday. I saw it today, and it kind of remind me of I was thinking about we mentioned that you just being just an average runner. You know, they kind of let me so I could pull up my phone. I normally pull my phone down there. I interview somebody, but I just gotta go back. I just gotta go back to it right quick. if I could find it. Let me see. Is it by a gentleman named Richard Geary? He's like he would talk about and celebrate Martin Luther King, about Martin Luther King Jr. being an ordinary man, but he would do had an extraordinary dream, you know. He just an ordinary person doing extraordinary things in life,
Yeah.
and kind of like think about, he could be just an average runner, but he does extraordinary goal, or how would the world want to do it's just something extraordinary, yeah, and that show you, like you say, anything is possible. And you shown that, by being an average runner doing extraordinary runs.
Oh,
Denver.
that's such a good quote, because
Yeah.
for me, like my birthday always lands around Martin Luther King Day, every single. It's literally growing up. I always loved Martin Luther King, and I always looked up to him because it was always around my birthday too. But I think it was just because I knew, like, I share my day kind of like, not it's not the same day, but like my birthday was around the same time, like someone that was celebrating. And I always remember every single time they would put his speech, I have a dream, I have a dream. And I think that kind of like insisted, like, in my brain, like, I have a dream, like it's okay to, like, for me, I think it was like growing up, I always thought like I couldn't dream. And so he always was that person who I looked up, where it's like, I have a dream, even though people might not tell you, hey, you know what, like, you can accomplish certain things. You have those dreams, and you need to follow those dreams. And Martin Luther King had a different dream than I did, but at the end, he did extraordinary things. And so we all have our dreams. So definitely, I think it's someone I looked up to, as a kid.
Okay, definitely.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna switch up to my last two questions. So what next for you? After you're done that dream of reaching 100 marathons, what next lineup for you? We next dream to go after.
Yeah, a lot of miles. Okay. I think my next dream, I mean, my next goals, I would say, I think now it's like less of a dream, not kidding, no, but I think I have some goals of, running a 100 miler, a 50 miler,
Okay.
a 100K. So going for a longer distance and becoming an
Yeah.
ultra
Yeah.
marathoner.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I think so. That's my goal for like for this year.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, maybe I want to go for another record. I was looking for some records, and I was just like, I think I could do this one. But I decided to calm myself down and be like, you know what, Jocelyn, you could do that later on,
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, if someone breaks it, and it's funny because I was gonna go for the record for the most marathons, the most consecutive marathons ran by a woman, which is currently at 95 days. 95 days.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I was gonna go for that one, and I attempted to run 8 marathons in 8 days to see how far I could get.
Yeah.
I was able to complete the 8 marathons in 8 days, like over the holidays.
Yeah.
And so this was like after my 100 marathon. And literally, I was just like, oh man, like, I can't do this. I need to, like, build my body to be stronger and better. But I was just like, ain't no way I'm gonna do this anytime soon.
Yeah.
And funny enough, literally just yesterday, I was looking on social media, and someone's going for the record, and they're going for 100 days.
Oh wow.
So I was like, you know what? My goal was to do 100. I'll just do 101, next year or whenever I decide to do it. Yeah,
Oh man,
yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
that's funny. Yeah.
You should interview her. She looks like an amazing person. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, you should interview her. I
Oh yeah,
forgot her name, but
definitely.
yeah,
Okay, you find out her name, let me know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
definitely.
She's barely starting. Yesterday was, I think, day one.
Oh,
So
really?
today was day two. So
Okay,
she's
then.
just getting started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
For
That's
like
cool.
3 months, 3 months and what, 10 days, literally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man. Yeah.
That's pretty
Wow, in the
cool.
world. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Well, if you need any help with the 100 miler, I got a couple of good friends, who have run a couple 100 miler, They give you
Yeah,
some tips.
I am looking for one, a scenery one, if like anyone knows, like a very like nice one, not too hilly,
Okay,
Right.
now,
very
okay,
yeah.
okay,
And like
okay.
yeah, I want one like in the fall. So I'm looking for like in November or October when it's like kind of
Right.
chilly. I
Right.
don't want to run one in the summer.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Run that one in the AC.
I know, I know. Okay, so no Western State 100 for you?
I think that one's too soon. I haven't ran. I'm first gonna do a 50 miler in July.
Okay.
It's gonna be the Mount Hood 50 miler. I got selected for it,
Okay.
so super happy for it. And I'm gonna do another one in Portland, Oregon, which is a
No.
100K,
Okay.
which is 62 miles.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I'm trying to spread it out. And so
Okay.
since that's in July, then I could do it by fall. Like maybe like
Okay.
in November,
Okay.
October, do
Okay.
the 100 miler.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
so all of that. And so you already graduated from school also?
Yeah, I did. I already graduated. I graduated in 2019 in computer information systems.
Okay. Okay. So okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a good time. I feel very lucky that I graduated that year. I was like one credit away, one class away from not graduating that year, and I'm so glad I did because the next year COVID happened,
Yeah.
and all the ceremonies got canceled. So definitely I felt like, oh, I'm glad I didn't stay back for
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
one
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
class, and
Okay. Okay.
at the
Yeah.
end it all worked out. So it was
Okay.
it was a good day because
Yeah.
I think just like the 100 marathon, it took 4 years to do,
Yeah.
and I was just like a degree with the 100 marathons. I think those were like the biggest accomplishments I ever
Wow.
done.
Yeah.
Like
I know. Yeah.
a degree is completely something like I think like. I mean, for some people, it might just be like nothing, but for me, I
Oh
think
yeah. Oh yeah.
the biggest accomplishment.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I know. I mean, it was great. It was great. So many things we haven't really talked about yet. Had to do a second one. I mean, about you being a doctor person, a dreamer, and how that impact you in your life. There's a lot that we didn't talk about. So yeah. Um, and just the challenge with that also. So yeah. So much proud to you. Just really just staying focused, and just really, you know, tend to dreaming, Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely. And so that lead me to my last question, and I think I'd like to ask everybody, because it just live Run Boundless. So what is your boundless motivation and thoughts in a few words?
My boundless motivation. Oh wow, that's a good one. I remember boundless motivation. I think I guess oh man, I can't even think. I'm like I should know one, by now. I think here is just many people might take this lightly, but putting one foot in front of the other. I think,
Yeah,
simply just that, like it's a simple thing that anyone could do, but
yeah,
we might not even think it's progress, but it's a lot of progress. I
yeah,
think, keeping or like keep moving one foot in front of the other
yeah,
is what helped me during my 100. And
yeah,
it's literally my motivation because every single time I would run a marathon every week, and I was like, okay, I'm moving one foot in front of the other, one step at a time,
yeah.
getting there slowly but surely, you know. And at the end, I think that was it, just that was it. Like that's the thing that motivated me.
Okay. Put one feet in front of the other. I like that. Yeah, you got to. Yeah, can't do it by 2 feet. You know,
Yes.
but just 1 feet at a time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. One at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, so Steph, you got any last word that you want to know? Want to ask Jocelyn?
No, I just, I appreciate you taking the time. And again, such a great inspiration. I
Yeah,
appreciate,
yeah,
just the journey of your life from a young child, to where you are now. And just what a great warrior spirit. I think you have the perfect nickname, the warrior. That
yes.
just really encapsulates who you are in your heart and spirit. And like I said, just a great inspiration. So I appreciate just having the time with you today.
No, definitely. Thank you guys for having me. And thank you for all your words. That means so much to me, It
Uh,
definitely means a lot, especially coming from like another woman. I think we have to build each other up. And that definitely, I really appreciate it, Stephanie.
yeah. And
And you
Jocelyn.
too, Kenneth. I appreciate you too for inviting me. Let's not forget about him.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all good. It's all good.
He's
Okay.
like, wow, no shout
He's
out for
like,
me.
he's like, I'm here too,
It's okay. It's okay. I'm good.
Literally.
I'm good. I'm good. No, definitely.
We love Ken. Ken's
Yeah,
amazing.
it is cool. No, I got glad we were able to make this happen. I'm glad you have your own, and just for joining me in the Live Run Boundless family. Yes, definitely. So it was good. And so, if people want to follow your journey, how will people get in contact with you or follow you?
Yeah, they can follow me on Instagram. That's the one I'm most active on.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
Jocelyn the Warrior.
Okay, Jocelyn the Warrior.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good
Warrior.
stuff. Good, that's cool. I love it.
Perfect.
I love it. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So, and thank you, Stephanie, for joining me as the co-host.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. and thank you, Live Run Boundless family for Live Run Boundless family for joining me for another episode of the Live Run Boundless show. Hopefully, looking forward to some more great interviews to come, some more good, great stuff. Events to come soon this year. So stay tuned and live a life beyond the boundaries you settle yourself. And when Jocelyn showed that she lived beyond boundaries. She lived, she said had dream and she lived her dreams. And she inspired so many people. Now I'm inspired, but her journey, her story, we're running also just a light. And saying with that said, to next time, family.